What is going on, everyone? Welcome into the Brant Partial Show. So what a win for the Colorado Buffaloes and Coach Prime, 45-42. Shedeur Sanders is balling out. Shedeur Sanders, man, I tell you what, he's one of the guys that, his name's just kind of right up there as one of the top NFL draft eligible quarterbacks. All he does is just go out and show out. 5 touchdown passes in this game. Really just did everything he needed to do to win this game. You had the feel. This game really had the feel. I was kind of getting that scare, like I kind of had that scare, like Colorado just couldn't score, and like their defense wasn't good enough where they could just keep scoring. It was kind of one of those. How there's games like that where an offense is playing well, but their defense is just such. Their defense is, such an Achilles heel where they just can't score enough to win the game. But Colorado, key stop on that 4th down. Shedeur Sanders, huge game, and Deion Sanders said he's bringing his dogs with him. Shedeur Sanders is a dog. He's a dude, stud. Just went out, balled out. I like the way he throws the ball. He's confident in the pocket. You can tell he is. You can tell this guy is a true high-level competitor, the way he goes about himself. Travis Hunter, you talk about a number 1 recruit out of high school living up to the hype. That's Travis Hunter. Over 100 snaps played. He played over 100 snaps in this game with over 8 minutes to go in the 4th quarter. This dude is just a beast, ultimate competitor. Sanders and Travis Hunter really embody what Deion Sanders wants this Colorado program to be. And you don't want to overreact to things like this, but you kind of get the feel like this is only a preview of things to come for Colorado. You got to believe that this team has the chance to, this might be a statement I would look back on and regret saying, but the saying that Colorado is going to take off and be a dominant powerhouse and this is only the start. Obviously things can change. It's only week 1, but that just, you get the feel that is only, that's just a glimpse of some of the big things that Deion Sanders is going to do with this Colorado program. But a massive, massive win over the team that played in the national title in the TCU Horned Frogs. So yeah, Coach Prime gets a huge win at TCU, 45-42, in thrilling fashion, in a close, competitive game that really is exactly what college football fans just want to see, more of games like that. So a huge win for the Colorado Buffaloes, 45-42. Hunter was big in this game. Horn, the receiver, had a really nice game too. So yeah, Coach Prime gets his first win at Colorado, and it ties the amount of wins they had last year. 1-11 last year, already match the win total from last season. So all right, so let's talk about the Michigan Wolverines. So Michigan, nice win over East Carolina today. JJ McCarthy looked awesome, and I just want to say this: I love Chris Sims and Mike Tirico on the call. I think that is just an awesome team. Chris Sims, if you follow this channel for a while, you understand that I love Chris Sims' NFL draft rankings, and I think he's a guy I think that really lives and breathes NFL football, but I think his ability to recognize talent, just with all the film he's watched, all the NFL, all the football he's watched in general. He does watch a lot of college football, especially when he scouts guys for the NFL draft. I think that insight was just so valuable, especially going over when you're watching, or when he's doing a team like Michigan who's going to have a lot of NFL draft eligible guys. I mean, he's talking up Chris Jenkins, Will Johnson. I'm sure he's going to love Will Johnson. I know he loves cornerbacks. Will Johnson not going to be eligible till 2025, but Chris Jenkins is going to be one of the top defensive tackles this year. He talked a lot about how much McCarthy's improved, and that's something I really saw. McCarthy has improved a ton. McCarthy really looks like he's making the case for the number 2 quarterback, and that's something Chris Sims said. It seems like Caleb Williams is the lock for the number 1 quarterback for this 2024 NFL draft upcoming, but it looks like McCarthy's going to be could be that number 2 guy. So yeah, exciting stuff. Huge win. I say huge win. Nice win for Michigan. Harbaugh suspended. Michigan players wearing free Harbaugh shirts warming up. So yeah, Michigan gets the job done with defensive coordinator Jesse Minter kind of as their interim head coach. Sounds like Michigan, since it's a self-imposed ban, has the choice to to divvy the wins how they choose. So I guess they since there's like 3 coaches that are like their head coaches, they can kind of divvy it up that way. But yeah, Michigan really just took care of business. Michigan really looked. They just kind of looked they looked full things go. They really looked the way I was hoping for, and get a really nice win over. Get a nice solid opening day win over East Carolina. And the defense looked really well. The defense wasn't concerning too much, but yeah, guys like Ernest Hausman flying around, I think is awesome. Hausman's the transfer from Nebraska. It's cool seeing Mike Sanders still out there. When they were on defense, I didn't really lock in as much, but offensively, things kind of looked same old in a good way. Donovan Edwards, Blake Corum doing well, and who's Roman Wilson had a huge day, 3 receiving touchdowns. So yeah, McCarthy making plays on the run, finding Roman Wilson, just an excellent performance from the Michigan offense and the Michigan defense. And the Michigan offensive line, interesting. You saw Nugent starting at center, Miles Hinton out there. They had some formations where they run some extra tackles. Colston Loveland too at tight end. Colston Loveland is going to be a super. He is already become a superstar. Excellent true freshman season last year. He's going to have a really big year for the Wolverines. I love his game, and he's got a really bright future, not only in Michigan, but in the NFL as well. So Michigan gets a nice win over East Carolina without Jim Harbaugh. So we'll talk Florida, Utah. I know that's kind of a little bit in the past. I know it's a little far, more of a distant memory at this point. But I still have high hopes for Florida. I think this could be a really good Florida team. I've scouted the Florida Gators closely. I think they have a talented football team, a good core nucleus of young guys. So Florida has a chance to rebound from this loss. Utah really looked like the program that Kyle Whittingham really has established here. A program that's just going to be disciplined, mistake-free, play hard, complementary football, run the ball effectively, execute play action, create some big plays. Utah, when you think of Utah football, you don't think of a ton of big plays, high potent offense, speed, but you just think of just a rock solid football team that plays well, plays mistake free, and Kyle Whittingham has really continued to bring that now. And I forget what year this is for Whittingham, but he's just done a fantastic job of really establishing that at this program. But yeah, Utah 6. The line was all over the place. 6.5, 4.5. Utah gets a really, really nice win over the Florida Gators, and you feel like that could propel them on their way to another Pac-12 championship. So yeah, Utah 24-11 victory over the Gators. Other interesting scores: Fresno State beat Purdue. That's a little bit. That's one of those. If you follow college football casually, you think, well, that's not too surprising. Purdue hasn't been very good, but Purdue had actually a pretty good year last year. I know it ended tough with the Big Ten championship loss to Michigan, and then in a bowl game, crushing defeat, a blowout loss to LSU. But Purdue quietly been a rock solid team, so a little bit of a surprise there. I know Fresno State's been a pretty good team, but yeah, so Fresno State upsetting Purdue. Tennessee with a nice win over Virginia. Joe Milton looking pretty good. Joe Milton, it seems like the hype has continued to ramp up for Joe Milton, and he's one of the quarterbacks to watch for next year's NFL draft. They get a nice win over the Virginia Cavaliers. Tennessee, one of those teams where I think a lot of people think they're going to be good, but how good can this team be is the main question. So going to go back, really lock into that game and see. But yeah, really nice win for the Tennessee Volunteers against a Power 5 team in Virginia. I know they haven't been a dominant team, but a really good win nonetheless. So yeah, LSU, Florida State. We're just over 24 hours away from that game. That is going to be you talk about a a potentially great football game. Two really good teams, two good quarterbacks, two experienced quarterbacks, two experienced coaches. Mike Norvell done a really good job of turning this Florida State program around, getting them looking more like the Florida State team we saw from a few years ago that was competing, won a national championship and made it to the playoffs. I say a few years ago, more like 10 years ago when they won the national title. But when Fisher still at 15 and 16, they still had some, still a pretty good program. But yeah, Brian Kelly, high expectations, year 2 on my LSU channel. If you want to check that out, I talk LSU football just about every day. So yeah, expectations are high this year for Brian Kelly. He's got a chance to really make a statement in year 2 if they get a win tomorrow night. And it's going to be NFL talent, both sides of the ball, potential to be a back and forth, maybe a high-scoring game like the TCU-Colorado game. But yeah, this one should be a good one. So buckle up. Tomorrow night, ABC, 7:30. Jaden Daniels, Jordan Travis going to duel it out at quarterback. Brian Kelly, Mike Norvell. Number 8, Florida State. Number 5, LSU. Should be a showdown in Orlando. But yeah, Ohio State and Indiana going on right now. Just cool to see Marvin Harrison Jr. out there. Marvin Harrison, so much hype in the offseason. The number 1 wide receiver prospect by many. I don't think you got to believe, a lot would happen for that to change. I know, Horn from Jimmy Horn from Colorado, Travis Hunter. Hunter's not eligible, but Horn, I'm not sure if he's eligible either. But he, made a case that he's going to establish himself as a pretty good wide receiver. I talk tight ends too. Mason Taylor from LSU, one of the best in the country. But yeah, Colston Loveland, I know he's not draft eligible. Him, Mason Taylor, two of the guys that non-draft eligible tight ends that are some of the best in the country. So yeah. But yeah, Brock Bowers appears to be tight end 1 there. But yeah, Ohio State, heavy favorites today against Indiana. I think it was 30-31. I think 30. Ohio State was 30 or 31-point favorites. I think right before kickoff, they were like 30-point favorites. But yeah, they got a chance to really go and have a dominant performance today. They were moving the ball. Their first drive, they were moving the ball. McCord looks pretty good at quarterback. McCord, if you're not familiar, won the job. He's forget what year he is, from New Jersey. But yeah, certainly has quite the arsenal of weapons with Emeka Buka, Marvin Harrison, all guys at wide receiver. And then the offensive line, 2 new tackles, but they do return Donovan Jackson, and I think they return and then they do return the other guard. Both the guards are back, but they lose the center and Whippler, and then the 2 tackles in DeJuan Jones and Paris Johnson. Johnson, a first-round pick. Whippler and who was the other guy? Whippler and DeJuan Jones, later-round picks to the Cleveland Browns. But yeah, Indiana is. I think the question is: Indiana an improved football team this year? They lost some guys in the transfer portal. Jack Tuttle at quarterback heads to Michigan. Deshaun McCullough now at Oklahoma, who's a talented linebacker. Aaron Casey is a guy that made a play, huge third down stop. I know Ohio State converted, but yeah, Indiana, new faces in the transfer portal. They lost some guys. So yeah, because Indiana improved. This is a program that a couple years ago was really trending in the right direction with Michael Penix playing well. But yeah, just kind of has taken just a turn for the worse. And yeah, we'll see if Indiana can cover the spread. I know that's not saying a lot, but see if they can really compete and show that this can be a competitive, tough team this season. So interesting stuff to watch in the Ohio State game, Ohio State-Indiana game. But yeah, later tonight, North Carolina, South Carolina. Spencer Rattler, Drake May going to duel it out. That's really the first thing you think of when you think of this game. Shane Beamer and Mac Brown, 2 really good coaches, going to go at it. But yeah, Rattler, Drake May, 2 of the top NFL draft quarterbacks. I know Rattler's kind of an interesting guy because at one time, a couple years ago, he was considered the consensus number 1 quarterback. Kind of has really fallen off. Has fallen off a little bit from that label. But yeah, I mean, Drake May, there's a lot of hype. Some people like Drake May as the number one quarterback for next year's draft. I'm not in that boat, but I think Drake May is a guy up there. I think he's got a lot of ability. I think he's got size. He can make some plays on the run. He's accurate in all parts, short, long, intermediate range. So, yeah, Drake May, really good quarterback, too. So, him and Rattler dueling it out. Juice Wells, talented wide receiver for South Carolina. We're going to see how he performs tonight. Should be a really good game. And North Carolina, South Carolina, a good low-key rivalry. Should be a fun one. That's going to be the ABC primetime game tonight. But yeah, I kind of wish there was some better games during the day today. Ohio State, Indiana, going on right now. Kind of wish we had another key 3:30 matchup. It's interesting with Brad Nessler and Gary Danielson calling the game at 3:30. They you're used to them just calling SEC games and kind of later, bowl games where CBS features the game. But yeah, I absolutely loved Mike Tirico, Chris Sims calling the game today for Michigan. I think that's going to be a really good crew. And Chris Sims, it's funny. I wrote in a question on Twitter. I wanted Chris Sims to cover some college football game or to talk some college football players, guys that are draft eligible during the season. But so I kind of got to see him do that, talking about some of the Michigan players, and not just being I don't. Even though I'm a Michigan fan, Michigan really does have some guys that are really good for next year's NFL draft. Loveland's not eligible, but Chris Jenkins, J.J. McCarthy, both running backs, Donovan Edwards and Quorum, draft eligible. Quorum obviously could have came out this past year. And then on the offensive line, Trevor Keegan, Miles Hinton, Nugent. There's a lot of draft eligible guys, and you feel like this is a year where, the hype is all there for Michigan and Harbaugh to win a national title, because this is probably the best collection of talent on the Michigan team maybe in a long, long time. So an opportunity, it's going to be tough. Could run into Georgia, Alabama. We'll see which SEC, there's likely an SEC team that's just really elite that emerges. We'll see who they end up running into down the road, but have an opportunity to really put together something special and do something big and do something in Ann Arbor that hasn't been done in a long time. Big Ten championship again, absolutely awesome. I really need to make sure I cherish this. This is one of the better. We're entering one of the high moments of Michigan football. A chance for 3 Big Ten championships in a row, a chance to beat Ohio State 3 years in a row, a chance for to maybe put an end to the Ryan Day era at Ohio State. So yeah, Michigan really a really nice start to the 2023 season, and they have a chance to do something special this year. Georgia UT Martin today. Basically, what do you want to watch for Georgia? You just want to watch their NFL draft guys. That's kind of what I was watching for Michigan. I wanted to see, the guys that are draft eligible for Georgia. Brock Bowers, Lad McConkey, Michael Williams is a true sophomore, but Small Munden, Dumas Johnson, who's the Kamari Lassitier. If you're watching Georgia, you just want to see some of their draft eligible guys show out. Brock Bowers, one of the best tight ends in the nation. If you haven't got to watch him play, you got to go watch this guy play. Absolute stud at tight end. Got a chance to enter the NFL and become not just a really good NFL tight end, but maybe an elite, maybe one of the top 3 tight ends in the National Football League we're talking about in a couple years. So this year's NFL draft, Caleb Williams, a potential elite NFL quarterback. Harrison Jr. at wide receiver from Ohio State, potential elite wide receiver. Brock Bowers, a potential elite tight end for the Georgia Bulldogs, and a potential elite already an elite Georgia tight end and a potential NFL elite tight end. And then Duke Clemson Monday. So what I want to see from Clemson, I just want to see Klubnik play well. I want to see him look sharp. I want to see kind of like what I saw with McCarthy today. I want to see Cade Klubnik really just show improvement in this game. This game is really a lot about, I think for Clemson, it's not what's interesting about Clemson this year, it's not a matter of how good they're going to be. It's how, are they going to be elite? And if Klubnik's sharp, if Klubnik really has taken all the measures to become an elite quarterback with the roster they have and the potential of this defensive line, in the wide receiver, in the skill position players, with all the potential this Clemson team has, a sharp performance against Duke, where Klubnik really looks good in the defense, and some of their playmakers really have a nice game. That kind of can clear up the questions and really show that this team has a chance to really be an elite football team. But yeah, fun day of football. I'm gonna keep watching the Ohio State Indiana game. We'll see. I'd love to see Indiana compete in this game. Ohio State heavy. This is one of those games where I love that Ohio State will open with a Big Ten opponent. It seems like a lot of these years these games are pretty close. A few years ago, Indiana kept it fairly close with them. Last year, Minnesota competed for a while. I know Ohio State pulled away a little bit at the end, but I like to see some. I do kind of like this, opening week 1 Big Ten game. So, yeah, it's a fun one. Potential for an interesting game, Indiana and Ohio State. But yeah, got a few more minutes here. At Iowa is really interesting to watch. Cade McNamara at quarterback. The former Michigan Wolverines quarterback. McNamara did a really good job at Michigan, but now, I think that was really, quarterback like Cade McNamara is really key for Iowa. Just a guy with experience, a guy that's going to go out, not make mistakes, compete at a high level, execute the offense, be a leader. So McNamara brings a lot of the intangibles I think that, many Iowa quarterbacks have. So he's got a chance to really have a nice season and really excel for the Iowa Hawkeyes this year. But yeah, we'll go back. So we'll go back and talking about Colorado. And man, I just, Deion Sanders, what a win. And I kind of like, he was interviewing Joel. He was getting interviewed with Joel Klatt, the sit down, and they're talking, and he's talking about why not, saying along the lines of why not win a national title this year. And, Joel Klatt's kind of asking questions to push back a little bit. But, even though the initial, kind of the hater is coming out in me and saying, they can't compete with a Georgia. They can't compete with an LSU, Bama, USC, Clemson, Michigan, some of the top programs. But you know what? What I've learned in life is having a belief in something is powerful. So a win like that, you got Colorado players truly believe it. Now their defensive line specifically, is that ready for, prime time? Pun intended. Probably not. Is their defense overall ready for a big game like that? Probably not. But, Deion Sanders, maybe he was right when he's saying that they're a year or two away from competing with some like the Alabamas, Georgias. Maybe that is the case with this program. Maybe they are pretty close from competing with the big boys. So, I could go on and on. Huge win for the Colorado Buffaloes and Deion Sanders. They get it done today, 45-42. Shadir Sanders shows out, and the Colorado Buffaloes, man, they, 21. I guess I'll reiterate this because I didn't really talk about this. 21-point underdogs. I think at one time the line was down to maybe 20 and a half, but 21-point underdogs on the road at TCU against the defending Big 12 champions, college football playoff team, the team that lost in the national title game. A game where Colorado, people thought Colorado had no business going out and winning this game, and all they do is get it done and get Coach Prime and Colorado to 1-0, matching last year's record. So, yeah, huge win for the Colorado Buffaloes. So talk USC, San Jose State. I didn't touch on that. USC with a huge win, solid win to start the season over San Jose State. Caleb Williams looking sharp. The freshman Zachariah Branch had a really good game. He shows a lot of ability as a return man. He was the number one receiver recruit coming out of high school, so it was nice that he had a really good game. USC, just a really potential to be a really strong team. I think they're kind of in this. USC to me is kind of in the same boat with Clemson. There's pieces in place. There's a few question marks, but there's enough pieces in place where it's like, we know we can be good at least. At the very least, this is a good football team. USC already proved last year in Lincoln Riley's first year that's a good program. Can we take the necessary steps to continue to grow? Can the defense continue to mature? The defensive line get better? You've done a good job bringing in talent, guys like Jameel Muhammad, Bear Alexander, Mason Cobb's a stud at linebacker. So you've done a good job in that, right, of improving the defensive line, the front seven. But can we just continue to get better as the season goes on? It's a long season. They're going to be challenged by several talented quarterbacks in the Pac-12. So Lincoln Riley got his hands full. Not really his hands full, but got a tough task ahead of him as far as getting this team a Pac-12 championship. They were fairly close last year, came up short to Utah, but an opportunity to really do something special this year, win the Pac-12, get USC to the playoff, get them their first playoff berth in this college football playoff era, and become another new addition to the college football playoff. But yeah, USC got to continue to get better defensively. But as for the offense goes, a lot of things we were looking for were on full display from the USC offense. And it's cool to see Damani Jackson out there at corner. And then, it's cool to see the transfers playing well. Guys like Jameel Muhammad. Muhammad, a really cool story. A quarterback, not a big-time recruit out of high school, played quarterback at Georgia State, transfers to USC, moved to edge rusher at Georgia State, transfers to USC, and all he does is, balled out as an edge rusher at Georgia State, and then now that his production as an edge rusher has led him to get an opportunity at USC. So USC, an improved team. You saw both linebackers that started last year not starting in that game against San Jose State. That was interesting. Mason Cobb, and then the other guy, I forget. The true freshman was the other guy at linebacker. So 2 new starters at linebacker. Not that Shane Lee, Gentry did a bad job, but it's just college football. With the transfer portal, you're always, that's just how it is. You're always looking to upgrade. With the transfer portal, it makes it easier to upgrade. It's kind of like, it's almost like those phone commercials, easy to upgrade. That's with college football with the transfer portal. Now it's a lot easier to just upgrade and get better, instead of, recruiting freshmen who might not be ready to play. Say you have USC wanted to get better at linebacker. You can bring in true freshmen, but bring in 2 talented freshmen. Maybe one's not ready to play. Maybe one's struggling to get down to kind of get the grasp of the speed of the game, even though he's physically mature. So it's just you love that the transfer portal can clear up a lot of problems in your team quickly. Not that their linebacking core was a problem, but getting better and getting better players in is always an added bonus. So, I'm going to wrap with that. Thanks for tuning into the Brant Parcell Show. Stay tuned for more episodes and clips from the show.